When I thought about having a younger sister, I always pictured Mom walking through the front door with a lovable newborn in her arms. Life didn't grant us that bundle of joy. Instead, I got a manipulative stepsister named Zoey. A few years ago, after Dad passed away, Mom worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over our heads and food in our stomach. About 3 years ago, she met Evan, fell in love and got married. Evan had a daughter, 2 years younger than me, named Zoey. While I loved Evan, Zoey and I did not become close. Evan was a successful businessman and Zoey got everything she wanted, many times after throwing a tantrum. After seeing Mom work so hard, Evan told Mom he just wanted to take care of her, and Mom trusted him. I did too, since he never made me doubt anything about who he really was. I often wondered if Zoey was Evan's biological daughter. They are so different. You'll see what I mean if you watch my story till the end. Everyone's life changed one afternoon when Evan came home and told us that he lost his job. Evan explained that the CEO of the company was arrested today for embezzlement.
We have to make a few changes until I get back on my feet. I do have some savings, so that should be able to keep us until I get my new job. I'm sure I'll get another job in no time.
Evan smiled reassuringly. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. By the time he did find a job, a first-level job at an office, most of his savings was depleted, and we couldn't live the lavish lifestyle we were accustomed to.
I'm sorry, guys. We've got to sell the house,
Evan said during dinner one evening.
What?
Zoey screamed.
I'm not moving. Maybe if I go back to work, we can keep the house. I've worked before, so I can do it again.
Evan smiled and squeezed Mom's hand.
I promise to take care of you and Monique. I'll be able to manage everything once we're in a smaller place with less bills to pay.
Mom nodded in agreement. Mom decided to have a garage sale. The problem with that was many of my things were being sold, but Zoey was able to keep everything she owned. Mom said I knew what it was like to do without, but Zoey didn't. And as a family, we must make sacrifices for each other. We moved into the smaller house about a week later. Luckily, I didn't have to share a room with Zoey. 6 months after Evan was hired, the company downsized and Evan lost his job. This time around, his relationship with Mom didn't go unscathed. They began arguing a lot, and Evan eventually filed for a divorce, and he and Zoey moved out. The first year was hard, but Mom and I didn't give up. Mom found a job in a beauty supplies company, while I worked in a fast food outlet after school. I graduated high school and worked my way through college. I met Anthony at the college library, and we began dating. Mom worked her way up the ranks and was eventually promoted to manager. 7 years passed before Zoey wormed herself back into Mom's life. During dinner one evening, Mom told me that Zoey visited her at work with her 4-year-old son, and she took them to lunch. I told Mom I didn't want Zoey coming over, and to stop seeing her. I warned Mom that Zoey will make her lose everything if she wasn't careful. I felt as though I was the parent. I could see Mom spending time with Zoey leading to nothing but bad choices. But Mom had a soft spot for Zoey. While cleaning the office one afternoon, I noticed a document for a car. Mom bought a car? As I read further onto the document, my stomach churned. The other signature on the document was Zoey's. I decided to keep my feelings about it to myself because Mom would have justified why Zoey needed a car. One afternoon while driving home from work, I got a call from an unknown number. Hello, good afternoon.
Monique, this is Zoey. Your mother is here. She fell and seemed to have injured her hip. You need to come get her.
What? Why can't you take her to the hospital? After all, she did purchase you a brand new car. I spat.
Oh, you found out about that. Well, Joey, my son, is coming out of preschool in a bit, and I can't drop her off and pick him up on time if I carry your mother all the way to the hospital.
Are you kidding me right now?
No, I'm not. I told your mother to call a cab, or you can come meet her here over on Orange Grove.
I'm an hour away from there, Zoey.
Fine, then she'll call a cab. Meet her at Kuva General Hospital.
The line went dead. I drove as fast as the law allowed me to. I called Anthony, who luckily was closer to the hospital than I was. I told him the situation and he said he'll meet me there. When I got to the hospital, I met Anthony in the waiting room. He told me that Mom was in surgery. I can't believe Zoey refused to drop Mom. I folded my arms across my chest.
I know you're upset and you have every right to be, but right now you need to calm down so you'll be in the right frame of mind when your mom comes out of surgery. We'll deal with it together, okay?
I nodded. A few hours passed before Anthony and I were able to see Mom. Mom, I sighed. We really need to do something about Zoe. Mom blinked at me.
What do you mean?
The fact that she told you to call a cab when you injured yourself at her place? What were you doing over there in the first place, Mom? I thought we talked about this.
Oh, Monique, you're always such a worrywart. I understood that Zoe had to pick up Joey. She can't afford to pick him up late, or she'll have to pay a late fee. I called a cab, and I'm fine now. Everything worked out.
Mom, you're in the hospital. I waved my hand frustratedly in the air. How is this working out? Mom switched the topic, and I knew that was the end of the conversation. Mom spent 2 weeks at the hospital, and Zoe never visited. While I was happy that Zoe kept her distance, I was also angry that after all Mom did for her, that she didn't even have the decency to send a get well card or visit at least once. Mom was discharged from the hospital on Sunday, and by Monday, Zoe had visited her at home. After I told Mom numerous times that I didn't want her in the house, Zoe escaped with a few $100s and some jewelry that I kept on my dresser. Mom brushed it off and said Zoe was going through a rough patch. That evening, Anthony and I were supposed to have dinner, but I canceled. I wasn't in the mood to be with company, but I did promise that I'll be there at his family gathering this weekend. I thought the weekend would have been a Zoe-free zone, but I was wrong. Mom invited Zoe to Anthony's family gathering, and she walked with her son who appeared to have inherited his mother's devilish ways. I didn't want to make a scene in front of Anthony's family, but Zoe had no problem doing so. She not only got numbers from Anthony's family members, but she also went around and told them horrible stories about me. Anthony tried to do damage control, but Zoe already planted malicious seeds in their minds about who I was. I sat by an empty table sipping a beer when one of Anthony's aunts, Aunt Peggy, sat next to me and I forced a smile.
I had a cousin like her.
Aunt Peggy pointed her walking stick in Zoe's direction.
She was always causing trouble because she lived a sad, pitiful life. Don't let her get to you. I'll straighten out the other family members, and by that, I mean knock some sense into them if needed.
She smiled at me. Thank you. I smiled. I spent the rest of the evening getting to know Aunt Peggy. I felt as though I knew her my whole life. I felt as though I have never been understood until that very moment. Aunt Peggy gave me her number before she left and told me to call her at any time I needed to talk. Because of her hip injury, Mom decided to retire early. She had enough money in her nest egg, and with the help of some investments that she made, she felt she was in a safe place to retire. What Mom didn't expect, however, was to lose everything. Oh, you thought Zoe was bad before? The worst is yet to come. I came home after work to see Mom packing a suitcase. Are you finally taking that trip to Paris that you've been talking about all these years? Mom didn't even look up at me.
No, I'm moving out.
Moving out? Mom, what do you mean you're moving out?
I bought a house for Zoe, and I'm moving in with her to help with Joey.
Mom, you worked hard for your money, and you bought a house for Zoe? What happened to Evan?
She and Evan don't speak anymore. He threw her out of the house. What kind of parent does that? And since you don't want her here, then I figured I might as well buy a house so she can be comfortable.
Did you ever think to call Evan and find out why? Maybe he realized that his daughter is a conniving, manipulative devil spawn that needed to be taught a lesson. Before I knew what was happening, I felt a burning sensation on my face. Mom slapped me. Mom has never raised her hand to me, ever. Mom looked at me as though she was going to say something, but decided not to. Hurt by my mom's reaction, I stayed in my room until I was certain she left the house. As soon as she left, I called Anthony and asked him to pass in the hardware to purchase new locks. There was no way I was going to leave the old locks on in case Zoe got hold of Mom's keys and tried to make a surprise visit. Anthony thought that carrying me to dinner would have cheered me up, but that just made matters worse. When we got to the restaurant, Zoe was there on a date with Anthony's younger brother, Ricardo, who was engaged. Anthony walked over to the table and demanded answers. What was supposed to be a calm conversation turned into a WWE battle. It wasn't long before the four of us were thrown out of the restaurant. When Anthony and I got home, we ordered pizza and watched movies. We were too exhausted from the day to talk about anything. We were each in our little bubble trying to figure out what our next move is going to be. A few months passed. Anthony moved in and Mom and I spoke at least once a week. She never mentioned Zoe, and I never asked. Anthony proposed to me, and of course I accepted. Anthony and I planned the wedding that we wanted, and a year later, we walked down the aisle. During our reception, as we were making rounds to greet our guests, I heard someone call out to me.
Hey, Monique.
It was Zoe. I froze and squeezed Anthony's hand. This isn't happening. This isn't happening. I looked in the direction of her voice, and seated at her table was Mom, Ricardo, and Joey. I let go of Anthony's hand and stormed over to the table. What are they doing here, Mom? I ignored Zoey and the others.
I couldn't leave them at home.
Mom, this is my wedding day. You know we didn't want them here.
Babe,
Anthony touched my shoulders from behind.
let's just leave it.
I shrugged his hand off my shoulders. I am sick and tired of her putting Zoe's needs before my own. I told her I didn't want any of them here. It's my wedding day. The most she could have done was respect my wishes. By that time, the guests were looking in our direction, trying to figure out what all the commotion was about. Ricardo pulled a small black box from his pocket.
Well, since we have an audience, we might as well give them a show.
He winked at Zoey. He got down on one knee and proposed to Zoey. Loving the attention, Zoey said yes and the guests cheered.
Oh, hell no!
Aunt Peggy's voice rang through the cheers of the guests. She wobbled to where we stood.
Anthony, take your lovely bride and begin your honeymoon early. If the both of you can't enjoy your reception, no one will. I'm shutting everything down.
Anthony held my hand, and as we walked out of the reception, Aunt Peggy barked orders for the guests to pack away the tables and chairs. Aunt Peggy messaged us the next day and said she sent all the food to a soup kitchen. Anthony and I spent 2 weeks in Trinidad. I almost didn't want to go back to reality, but I knew sooner or later I needed to go back to work in real life. When we got back home, Mom was sitting on the porch with her belongings. Mom, what are you doing here? What happened? I ran towards her.
I tried to open the door, but the keys didn't work.
I opened the door quickly and Anthony brought Mom's things inside while I prepared something for us to eat. She told me she had been sitting there since the night before. She said that Zoey threw her out of the house since she hired a new nanny to watch Joey, and now that she and Ricardo were getting married, she didn't need her for anything. That night, I cried myself to sleep. I knew what Zoey was capable of, but it still hurt the way she treated Mom. Anthony and I decided to move out of the house and let Mom stay in her house. We started a new life in a new country, and we've been happy ever since. I love Mom, but I will never be able to change her mind about who Zoey is. I do worry about Mom being so close to Zoey. However, Anthony reminded me that I have to live my life, and I must allow Mom to do the same. Sometimes you need to allow people to make their own mistakes and hope that one day they learn from them.